It's 3 o'clock. Is everybody ready to go? Before we call the meeting to order, I need to read the guidelines by which this board operates. This is a public hearing, and we are the Zoning Board of Adjustments for Putnam County, Florida. We operate under the authority of Articles 11 and 12 of the Land Development Code as amended. The primary responsibility of the board is to hear and decide appeals challenging final determinations made by the Planning and Development Services Department under the Land Development Code, and to hear and act upon requests for variances, special use permits, non-conforming use determinations, and preliminary development plans under the Land Development Code. Today we have a variance. A variance is a relaxation of the requirements of the zoning code in a particular case where, because of unusual circumstances, a little enforcement of our zoning code would result in undue or unnecessary hardship. The zoning code permits us to authorize variances only for height, size of structure, size of yards, and open spaces. If we grant a variance, we may impose reasonable conditions on the use of the property which must be satisfied if the variance is to remain valid. The standards we use in deciding whether or not to grant a variance are listed in Section 45-833 of the Land Development Code. I'm skipping the special use permit. Procedurally, we will call each case by name and number. A member of the staff will then briefly explain to us the nature of each request. We will then take any comments from the applicant or their representative, followed by any public comments concerning the request. Please direct all comments or statements to the board and not to other people in the audience. Before speaking, we will ask each person to be recognized, come forward to the lectern, and identify his or herself by name and address. After all persons wishing to speak have been heard, we will entertain a motion from the board. This motion will be voted on by board members and become our final order. Any decision made by this board can be appealed to the circuit court. However, any appeal must be filed within 30 days after the Board of Adjustments has rendered the final order which is being appealed. Are there any questions? The first case today, all those wishing to speak will need to be sworn in. So will the sworn deputy clerk please administer the oath? Okay, our first case is variance 25-000004. But before we hear staff report, let's have a roll call of ex parte communication and or conflict of interest. Roll call.
No.
Mark Fisher?
No.
Ron Webb?
No.
No. William McGahee?
No.
Yes, I have an ex parte with the applicant. It will not affect my ability to vote today.
No.
Okay, Mr. Perry, since Mr. Winkleman said this, he wouldn't have any problems. Do you need to ask him a question?
Hunter, what was the nature of the ex parte communication?
The nature of the communication was just to allow the applicant to know that I wanted to do a site visit of the property, and I wanted to gain access to the property other than just looking at it from the road. So I wanted to look at it from the backyard, before I entered private property. Wanted them to be aware of such, and that I would be there a few minutes, and that was it.
So you didn't really speak about any of the subject matter or this hearing?
No, the applicant did try to engage into it, but I did not give any response to that at all. The applicant advised of certain circumstances of it, but I didn't in any way get involved in any type of response or give my opinion on such.
So you think you can decide this matter in a fair and impartial manner?
Absolutely.
That'll be fine, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, staff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Michael Graves, Planning and Development Services. This is once again variance 25-000004. The applicant are William and Terry Duke at the location of 108 Edgewater Road in Satsuma, Florida, on a parcel that is 0.28 acres in size, more or less, zoned residential 2 with the future land use of agriculture. The variance is to allow for a reduction in the side setback from 10 feet to 2 feet, a total of an 8-foot side setback reduction, and a 5-foot waterfront setback reduction from 25 feet to 20 feet on the 0.28 acres of residential 2 zone property to retain 2 existing sheds. The applicants are requesting a setback reduction to retain sheds that were installed on the property before they purchased it. The applicants are in the process of moving off-site due to issues with neighbors and wish to ensure that no code enforcement problems are placed on future owners. An active code case is in effect for this property, and had the development been a single foot more inward, an administrative deviation committee variance could have been granted instead of a zoning board of adjustment variance. Here you can see an aerial view of the property, the zoning, the future land use, the FEMA flood zones, and the wetlands. Special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved. The property is only 65 feet wide. As such, there are special circumstances that exist in that the land is too small by county regulation standards, and the sheds cannot be moved and or removed without significant potential risk and or cost to the applicants or anyone they hire to work for them. The special conditions and circumstances described in paragraph A do not result from a failure on the applicant's part to follow applicable county, state, or federal regulations. The special conditions of the circumstances are not the fault of the applicant. The property is lot 75 of the St. John's Riverside Estates River Oaks recorded subdivision, wherein most of the properties are uniformly 65 feet in width, 10 feet less than the required 75 feet for the R2 zoning district. It would appear in 2016 the former owners installed the sheds without permits, as staff are unable to locate the permits for their installation despite finding permits for earlier development on this property. As such, the current property owners are not responsible. Granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the code. Granting this variance would not be special privilege. The reduction of setbacks is one of, if not the most common form of variance granted in Putnam County due to the large number of non-conforming lots throughout. Literal interpretation of the provisions of this ordinance would deprive the applicant's rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district. Literal interpretation could place unnecessary and undue hardship on the applicant. The return to the property could result in a hazardous environment or other such unsafe conditions, as their neighbors have, according to the applicant, made repeated threats of violence towards them. It is potentially dangerous for the applicants to ever return to the property they would no longer wish to own. Granting this variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this ordinance, and such variance will not be injurious to the area involved. The granting of this variance will mostly be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the LDC. The general intent and purpose of the LDC is to provide landowners the right to develop their land with a primary use and appropriate accessory structures that will not create a hazard to neighboring properties. It is not believed at this time that the location of the shed shall prove to be exceptionally hazardous or injurious to the area, nor detrimental to public welfare. The variance granted is the minimum necessary that will make possible the reasonable use of land, building, or structure. The requested variance is not the minimum possible to make reasonable use of the land. The removal of the smallest shed, as well as the shed with the porch on it, as seen in the site plan, would remove the need for the reduction of the waterfront setback. However, this may be mostly unreasonable. To keep the property in the same condition that it was when it was purchased, and to prevent the applicants from having to return to the property where there is, again, potential danger from, as they said, aggressive neighbors, it is the minimum required to make reasonable use of the already existing structures. Staff finds that the requested variance meets the majority of the criteria for issuance of a variance in LDC section 45-833, and staff gives a recommendation of approval for the requested variance to allow for a reduction in side setbacks from 10 feet to 2 feet, a total of 8 foot, and a waterfront setback reduction from 25 feet to 20 feet, a total of 5-foot reduction on a 0.28 acre of residential 2 zone property. Staff would also like to take a moment to state that there is a objection letter that will need to be spoken into the record at that time. Beyond that, are there any questions?
Question, we did not get a copy of the objection letter.
It is in your packet. It is the final sheet,
Yes.
I believe.
Okay. Sorry about that, I guess I missed it.
My apologies.
My fault. Okay, before we continue, any other comments or questions for staff? Okay, at this time, let's do a site visit roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, would William and Terry Duke like to address the board? Do you have anything that you would like to say other than what staff has said in their report? Okay. The applicants are declining to come forward and address the board. There is no one else in the audience, but I will ask if there anyone wishing to come forward and speak in favor of this application and or in opposition, and since there's no one in the audience, the only two present are the applicants.
Once again, for the record, Michael Graves, Planning and Development Services. This is a objection letter as written by David Williams at 112 Edgewater Road in Satsuma, Florida, for case VAR 25-000004, petition to have this denied. The west side of the property has a very large shed that is extremely close to the wood fence. Due to the rain runoff from the roof of the shed onto the fence, creating a heavy vegetation to grow that is unable to be maintained. This is in turn attracting rats and other rodents to the surrounding area, creating an environmental hazard, bring with them possible diseases. The rodents are attracting predators to the area, such as alligators and snakes, hazards to people and pets. The shed should be moved to the proper distance required by zoning or removed. Respectfully, again, David Williams.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we will close the meeting to the public and open it up for board discussion and motion.
Madam Chairman, I move we approve variance 25-000004 as it meets the criteria for a variance as required by section 45-833 of the Putnam County Land Development Code, and authorize the chair to sign the final order.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve variance 25-000004. No further discussion. All of those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Motion carries 7-0. Good luck, and we're sorry you had such difficulty. Oh, you have a 30-day appeal process, though. So there's a 30-day appeal process. So if there's any issues or problems, please work with staff. Thank you. Okay, continue the agenda. Is there any old business? Any new business?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may, for new business. That's me.
Okay, Zach.
As many of you have been apprised, Jenny Kidd has resigned effective April 7th. We are expecting a replacement for Jenny on April 21st, which is this coming Monday. Her name will be Kristen Price. Kristen will work closely with Nancy Brown and the two Ashleys that have been taking minutes to make sure that we keep our motion going smoothly. I also have another item of new business, and that is that we also have a new planner with county staff, and his name is Ethan Thompson. He's sitting to my right.
Hi, Ethan. Welcome aboard. Yes, and Jenny will be missed, but we enjoyed her time that she spent with us. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes, but before we have a motion, there's one correction and one suggestion. The correction is the Putnam County Planning Staff President Brian Helms was not at that meeting in March, And the other suggestion, or the suggestion I have, is that at the approval of the minutes, and that the date of the minutes should be on there as far, because sometimes we don't meet every month, and so the date should have been February 19th, 2025. So that's it. So how about a motion to approve the minutes? Everybody had a chance to read them?
Madam Chair, just for, me again, just for correction, was it March 19th?
No, March, the minutes that we approved, we're approving March minutes today. We approved the February meetings in March, right?
That's
According to-
usually how we do it, yes, ma'am. But the minutes that you're approving today?
March 19th.
No, I'm sorry, you're right. My apologies.
It's okay. I'm glad we're on the same page now.
Thank you. I
Yes,
was
ma'am.
back a month.
Okay.
It is March, sorry. Okay. Any other questions? Any other corrections? Thank you, Zach. All right, can we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve minutes as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for March 19th, 2025. I'm sorry, today, April. I'm all confused today. March 19th, 2025 is approved today. So I was right. The minutes that we approved last month were for February. That was in March. So today we're approving the March minutes. Right?
So when you're asking for the date of the minutes,
The date of the minutes that came out in March,
the ones that you approved today,
the ones we're approving today, were for March 19th.
Madam
So
Chair,
this is totally confusing.
Madam Chair, the date and time are both listed within the minutes at the very top of the minutes we're approving today. If that's your question in regards to your recommendation, the date and the time of the minutes we're approving today from last month are listed at the top of the page.
All right. Minutes for the Putnam County Board of Adjustment for March 19th. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm confused then. All right, so if we have any problems, the minutes today for March 19th, 2025.
Madam Chair, we have a motion on the floor still that has not been voted on. That motion has also been seconded, to be clear.
We have a motion. How about a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry about that. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the March 19th, 2025 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay. My confusion today, and I apologize. All right, anything else?
Madam Chair, motion to adjourn.
Thank you, sir. We stand adjourned. We said, got a second.